Seth Rollins' return at Royal Rumble was accidentally spoiled. Roman Reigns shouldn't win the 2026 Royal Rumble. Vince and Linda McMahon push back against a lawsuit. A new look at WWE's setup for Royal Rumble 2026. AJ Lee confirmed for WWE 2K26. A superstar is pressing charges for unrelenting harassment, and much, much more. Let's start off with Roman Reigns shouldn't win the 2026 Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns is set to compete in the Men's Royal Rumble match for a second straight year. The former undisputed WWE champion announced himself for the 30-person Battle Royale last week on SmackDown via a video package. Many fans are rooting for the Tribal Chief to win the Rumble this year. However, it might end up being a disastrous decision in the long run. Here are 4 reasons why Roman Reigns should not be booked to win the Royal Rumble this year. Number 1, he didn't show up once in the build. WWE went on a tour of Europe to promote the Royal Rumble throughout January. They most recently ended up in Canada, but Reigns did not appear even once to build up to the premium live event. While it was expected that he would appear at the Rumble, his participation was only confirmed last Friday, taking away his momentum. The last time fans saw the OTC in WWE was at Survivor Series War Games, when his team lost to the Vision in the Men's War Games match. Number 2, Roman Reigns will likely main event WrestleMania 42 Night 2 ahead of the full-timers. The former Universal Champion is still one of the biggest draws in the company and is among the biggest attractions at any show he competes in. As a result, it seems almost certain that the OTC will main event WrestleMania 42 Night 2 ahead of other full-time stars if he returns and wins the Rumble this weekend. This would be a disservice to those who have held the company up in his absence, and would also lead to further complications down the line. Number 3, another part-time world title reign. One such complication that could happen following Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble and then the world title at WrestleMania is another part-time run as champion. The former Bloodline leader's schedule has drastically reduced over the past few years, and he only appears ahead of the Big 4 premium live events. Giving him the title for a part-time run when so many stars are ready to carry the title full-time would be a major complication in terms of booking for both brands in the future. Number 4, potential resentment due to his booking, 2015 all over again. Roman Reigns' first Royal Rumble win led to him being resented heavily, as the company pushed him strongly as the next big main event player following the breakup of the Shield. However, fans just did not resonate with his character at the time. Things were helped a little bit when The Rock came out to celebrate his Rumble win with him. However, he ended up losing in the main event of WrestleMania 31 as Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank contract to win the WWE Championship. 11 years since his last Rumble win, Roman Reigns is now one of the biggest stars in WWE and has the fans cheering whenever he shows up. However, the lack of build-up to the event and the prospect of him having another lengthy part-time run as the champion could lead to the crowd turning on him again, like they did the last time. Vince and Linda McMahon push back against a lawsuit. Vince McMahon and Linda McMahon are now formally opposing the request by former WWE ring boys to remain anonymous in their ongoing sexual abuse lawsuit. According to a report by Brandon Thurston of Post Wrestling and WrestleNomics, both Vince and Linda McMahon filed separate but similar legal oppositions on January 26th, asking a Maryland federal judge to reject the plaintiff's attempt to continue using pseudonyms. The McMahons argue that anonymity would unfairly restrict their ability to defend themselves as the case enters the discovery phase. The lawsuit, filed by 7 men now in their 50s, alleges that they were sexually abused as children during their time as ring boys in the WWF. The abuse is primarily attributed to former WWF ring announcer Mel Phillips, who passed away in 2012. The plaintiffs accuse Vince and Linda McMahon of negligence in allowing the alleged abuse to occur. Both McMahons have denied all wrongdoing or knowledge of the incidents. In early January, the plaintiffs requested to maintain their John Doe identities, citing ongoing psychological harm, trauma, and potential public exposure. They also asked the court to issue a protective order to limit how their identities could be used during discovery. Though the McMahons are already aware of the plaintiffs' real names, the motion aimed to prevent those identities from becoming public. The McMahons' filings referenced recent rulings in New York civil cases involving Sean P. Diddy Combs and Kevin Spacey, where plaintiffs were required to proceed under their legal names. While the McMahons acknowledged those cases were in a different jurisdiction, they've asked the Maryland court to consider the precedent. Neither WWE nor TKO has filed an opposition to the plaintiffs' anonymity and are not expected to. The plaintiffs noted that both corporate entities have taken no position on the matter. The court is not expected to make a ruling until after February 6th, when the plaintiffs' deadline to respond to the McMahons' opposition expires. Should the court force the plaintiffs to reveal their names publicly, it could have serious implications for how similar abuse cases are handled in the future. Do you believe the Ring Boy plaintiffs should be allowed to remain anonymous? Or do Vince and Linda McMahon have a right to know who is accusing them publicly? Rey Mysterio's current injury status following Raw. Rey Mysterio had fans on edge after going down during Monday Night Raw, but the latest backstage word is a massive sigh of relief ahead of the Royal Rumble. The WWE Hall of Famer was involved in a singles match against Austin Theory when chaos erupted at ringside. Members of the Vision, Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed attacked Dragon Lee and Penta, distracting Mysterio just long enough for Theory to land a stomp and score the win. But the real concern came after the bell. Mysterio clutched his arm in visible pain as the referee threw up the X, WWE's real-life injury signal, and called for medical staff. Rey didn't take part in the post-match action and was helped to the back, leaving fans unsure if what they saw was storyline or something more serious. According to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, the early belief is that the injury is not serious. While specific medical details haven't been revealed, internal discussions suggest things are trending in a positive direction. Mysterio is still expected to appear in the 30-man Royal Rumble match this Saturday, January 31st, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That's big, especially considering Mysterio just returned in November 2025 after being sidelined for 7 months with a torn groin. At 51, every setback counts. But WWE reportedly has no plans to remove him from the Rumble lineup. Should WWE take the risk with Mysterio in the Rumble, or is it smarter to protect him? A new look at WWE's setup for Royal Rumble 2026. A new video surfaced online today showing off WWE's elaborate setup for Royal Rumble 2026. The highly anticipated PLE will air live from Saudi Arabia this Saturday night. Earlier today, a wrestling fan took to social media to share a new look at the stage and setup for WWE Royal Rumble. Rhea Ripley's entrance is being played during the video on the multitude of screens at the venue. AJ Styles will be putting his career on the line in a singles match against Gunther at the PLE this weekend. The Phenomenal One challenged CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship last night on Raw, but Finn Balor interfered in the match. Sami Zayn won a fatal four-way match over the weekend at Saturday night's main event and will be challenging Drew McIntyre for the undisputed WWE Championship at Royal Rumble 2026. The winners of the men's and women's Royal Rumble matches will go on to challenge for a major title at WrestleMania 42 later this year in Las Vegas. Wrestling veteran David Otunga complimented Drew McIntyre as a performer and claimed that he had mastered his character on WWE television. Speaking on TMZ's Inside the Ring podcast, David Otunga noted that the Scottish Warrior was using real-life frustration in his character, and it has added a lot to his presentation. I think it's great. He's one of my favorite characters. He's just a nice guy too, but I love his character. And I feel like part of it that's made him so good like this past year is that frustration. That's real frustration. And he's bringing that into his character. It's always the best when you blur the lines between reality and storyline, and right now, Drew is doing that masterfully, Otunga said. Jey Uso and Charlotte Flair won the men's and women's Royal Rumble matches last year. It will be fascinating to see which stars emerge victorious at the PLE this year and earn a title match at WrestleMania. AJ Lee confirmed for WWE 2K26. AJ Lee might be lacing up more than her boots. She could be loading into your console soon too. Following her return to WWE in September 2025, fans have been speculating whether AJ Lee would be featured in the upcoming WWE 2K26 video game. And now, it looks like the answer is inching closer to yes. In today's teaser from WWE Games, fans spotted a major clue, a TV screen displaying the phrase "Light It Up" during a cryptic VHS-style montage. For longtime fans, that phrase is unmistakable. It's the title of AJ Lee's iconic entrance theme. This comes on the heels of another big hint. A previous teaser showed a VHS tape labeled WrestlePalooza, the very event where AJ submitted Becky Lynch in her return match, teaming with CM Punk against Lynch and Seth Rollins. That match has already been heavily rumored as part of WWE 2K26's Showcase mode, which is expected to spotlight Punk's career. The timing aligns perfectly. AJ made her return on the September 5th, 2025 episode of SmackDown in Chicago after more than a decade away from the company, reuniting on screen with her husband CM Punk. Their WrestlePalooza win instantly reignited interest in AJ's future, both in the ring and digitally. Whether she'll be on the base roster or appear as DLC remains to be confirmed, but between the lighted up visual and the WrestlePalooza tape, fans are starting to connect the dots. While speaking to Hot Ones Versus, AJ Lee was asked to pick her Mount Rushmore of talent, but CM Punk read her the question and said, "Screw that, name her 6 grandfathers," because that is what the monument was known as before they carved faces in it. AJ Lee proceeded to pick Chyna, Lita, Beth Phoenix, Mickie James, herself, and Bayley. That led her to make a bit of a joke along the way about the names she picked. I feel like I have to go through generations. Chyna, Lita, Beth Phoenix. You've dated a lot of these women, sorry. Is that awkward? You have very good taste. Obviously, they're just so good. I'm next, obviously. And I want to pick a woman from this generation, Bayley. CM Punk has not dated Bayley, Mickie James, or Chyna that we know of. But he did have relationships with Lita and Beth Phoenix. He was also tied to Maria Kanellis and Kelly Kelly, so CM Punk has quite a roster behind him, but he is very happy with AJ Lee. We will have to see what is next, or AJ Lee and CM Punk. We may see both of them for the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. With Lee back in the fold and the road to WrestleMania coming up soon, odds are we will see her again. Andrade's family hides his mom's death from him. Andrade just opened up about one of the hardest moments of his life and how it happened while he was fulfilling WWE obligations overseas. During a January 26, 2026 interview with Carolina Ross, Andrade revealed that he was in Saudi Arabia for a WWE event when his mother passed away. The emotional moment left a permanent mark, especially since he never got to see her one last time. He explained that he had a gut feeling something was wrong, but his family kept the truth from him. I was in Saudi Arabia when it all happened. No one told me anything until I got back. I left on a Tuesday, arrived Wednesday, and my match was either Friday or Saturday. My friends and family just kept asking, "Can you come to Torreon when you return?" But no one told me what was really going on. Andrade said he intentionally avoided updates to protect himself emotionally until after the match. When he returned to the US, he finally turned on his phone, and that's when he got the devastating news. I didn't want to check my phone because if they told me something had happened to my mom, I'd have it in my head the entire match. So I chose not to know anything. Once I landed back in the US, I turned on my phone and got the news. I was going through immigration, and WWE staff asked me what was going on. I told them, and they told me to go. Fly to Mexico. He arrived in San Francisco on Saturday, only to learn his mother had passed the day before. The family was planning to bury her immediately, but Andrade asked them to delay it so he could make it home in time. But the part that hurt the most? He never got to say goodbye. I arrived in San Francisco on Saturday afternoon. My mom had passed away Friday. They were planning to bury her that Saturday, but I asked them to wait 2 more days so I could be there. I never got to say goodbye. That was the hardest part. Between personal heartbreak and professional transition, Andrade's journey has been anything but smooth. But his willingness to open up about that journey shows a side of the wrestling world fans rarely see, one that lives outside of matches and storylines. A superstar is pressing charges for unrelenting harassment. A popular WWE superstar has announced on social media that he was proceeding with legal action and ready to press charges, alleging unrelenting harassment. Kofi Kingston was furious over a recent clip of him from Raw going viral on the internet and wrote that the fan who shot it would face serious repercussions. Kingston and Xavier Woods made another failed attempt to find their way back into the World Tag Team Championships picture on this week's WWE Raw. The duo lost the 4-way match to determine the next contenders for the tag team gold held by Jay and Jimmy Uso. Alpha Academy's Otis and Akira Tozawa emerged victorious in a bout that also featured American-made and Los Americanos. During the closing stages of the match, both Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods could be seen struggling on the ringside and arguing with fans, while one of them made a video of them. The clip has now come to Kingston's attention, who blasted the fan on his X account and threatened to press legal charges. You people! We had to fight 4 other teams on Monday night, and we also had to fight against the unrelenting harassment from those ignorant Torontonians. Best believe that Woods and I are pressing charges and filing for a lifetime ban of that uneducated pin-brained fanatic, tweeted Kingston. Though Kingston and Woods seem nowhere close to winning the tag team gold in WWE, the duo has been involved in an entertaining, long-running feud with RAW's on-screen GM, Adam Pearce. The two have often accused Pearce of bias and of not granting them the opportunities to climb up the ladder in the tag team division. While there seems to be no endgame in sight as to how this storyline would end, it has made for enjoyable TV and given Kingston and Woods something worthwhile to sink their teeth to. That said, they still have a lot to offer in the ring, and a feud with the Usos for the gold could make for compelling viewing. Seth Rollins' return at Royal Rumble was accidentally spoiled. Seth Rollins appeared in an interview with ESPN's First Take this Monday, days ahead of Royal Rumble 2026. During his appearance, he was repeatedly asked about a potential surprise entry into the men's Rumble match. Things became interesting when Ryan Clark, one of the hosts, directly asked Rollins to share his thoughts on returning to Royal Rumble from his injury. Since then, the internet has been buzzing about it, calling it a potential spoiler for the PLE. ESPN is the official home for WWE's premium live events in the USA. Streaming or broadcasting partners often know about surprises beforehand in many instances. Therefore, this fueled the speculation more about the Visionary returning to the Royal Rumble this weekend. However, Seth Rollins' WWE return is uncertain at this point. Ryan Clark's question to the Visionary on ESPN was apparently presumptive. What happened in the interview was not a spoiler. Besides, Rollins also repeatedly denied those claims, stating that he was still in his recovery period. The 39-year-old reiterated that he was not medically cleared to compete. WWE's injury and concussion protocols have been very strict in recent years. The company is unlikely to rush Seth Rollins' return unless he is fully recovered. With him undergoing a torn rotator cuff surgery in October, the Visionary is not expected to return to in-ring action so soon. Therefore, Rollins is very unlikely to enter the Men's Royal Rumble match this year. Seth Rollins is one of the biggest WWE stars in today's era, and no one can deny that. Just when the Visionary was at the peak of his career on Monday Night Raw, tragedy hit him in the most unfortunate way, and that eventually put his Royal Rumble and WrestleMania 42 dreams up in the air. The biggest question in fans' minds now is when Rollins returns to the company. While he did negate a Royal Rumble return, the former Shield member did not rule out the possibility of competing at this year's WrestleMania. He may make a blockbuster return just in time for the show of shows. While predicting it would be difficult, Seth Rollins could return sometime around March or early April to get involved in a massive feud. WWE would not keep a superstar like him on the shelf if Rollins is fully recovered for a match at the year's biggest annual event. However, this is currently nothing more than speculation. It will be interesting to see how things shape up in the coming weeks and what the future holds for the Visionary.